questions. So we'll go first to Peter Ryan's report, item 7. Come on up, Peter.
Right, good morning everyone. This is the third quarter performance report on the vital few things we need to get right. It's quite a pleasure to say that overall this is the best set of numbers we've seen in maybe 15 years. I'll step you through that, but combined with the resident survey and the staff survey, this is a very positive sweep across the board in recent months. Obviously there are little things to work on, but I'm speaking in the round. Stepping through, community levels of service, that's the services that ratepayers actually get in person. They're at 89, 90%. That's above target and back to pre-earthquake levels. That's the product of work by staff. We haven't had a windfall in the form of a great summer or anything like that. That's just simply getting the results up there. Similar for management levels of service. Those are the behind-the-scene things that have to be in place for the services to be delivered. Capital delivery, and I stress delivery, not spend, is on track. And one of the reasons I mentioned that this is a positive set of results is that even back in pre-earthquake periods, when levels of service were around 90%, we were still facing significant carry forwards in the capital program. So overall, on balance, this is two high-level positives. Capital projects planning for 2026 is on track. 27 planning is amber, but it has moved from 80 to 90% by June before, so that's still entirely possible. The item to watch is possibly activity budgets. There's an overspend in water supply, personnel and maintenance costs, revenue from excess water. Wastewater is similar. There are some smaller issues in parks and libraries. I will stress, though, that overall the budget is fine. This is at the unit level, and there are always unders and overs at that level. So all up, there is room for improvement on specific local projects and specific services, but in the round, this is a really great set of numbers. I'm happy to take any questions.
Awesome, thank you for that, Peter. And it's good. It's good. Like you're quite right. When we get closer to the end of the year, we get a bit more surety, and it's good to see. Largely, it's heading in the right direction. Does anyone have any questions for Peter? Yanni.
Yeah, thanks for the report, Peter. I note with interest that both the excess water charges and the Hagley Park or Botanic Gardens car parking revenue are two of the lines that are leading to us not performing as well as we thought we would. Given that those were kind of introduced as revenue raising, and I understand there's other objectives, but fundamentally they were a key part of...
Sorry, the excess water was not for revenue raising, it was for reducing the infrastructure.
Well, given that we've used those line items as revenue increases, right, which is fair, that's how we did the budget.
Okay, just ask your question.
So I'm just wondering, is there a different way of approaching it when we're budgeting so that we don't end up with this shortfall? Like, why have we been so overly optimistic with our assumptions if we're not meeting the revenue targets that we set? Is there something we should be thinking about as we budget to do something differently in that space?
I think that's a complicated question. I think it needs financial advice, to be honest. I'm not sure that's one that I should just tackle off the hip.
Right.
I don't think a glib response or a one-liner is going to do that justice.
Yeah.
Just take that away.
Yeah. And then
I think Bede's got something, and then Brent may have as well.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Councillor Hanson. I think what we need to do is understand what the assumption, or go back and look at the assumptions and understand where those assumptions meant that there was a departure from the expected revenue and build those into the annual plan that we're doing presently, and that's what's happening. But there are a number of variables that in a way we don't know how they'll pan out until we actually get the evidence, such as the parking. What is the response of users once there is a charge? And so we're looking at that, but to Peter's point, it is a little bit difficult to just give a sort of a soundbite answer on the spot, because there's a number of assumptions that informed those revenue lines, and then we have to understand where the departures were in terms of why they didn't perform as expected.
Yeah.
So we can come back with additional work and maybe look at that as part of the, through you, Mr. Chair, is when we talk to the annual plan budget.
Yeah, or like the excess water charge is another one where we set targets. We want to reduce the water usage. So do we set a phasing out, a lower phasing of revenue year on year? Yeah.
I think Brent's got something to add. And then we'll...
Yeah, I understand what the council is saying, and just to add on to what Bede said, and don't forget those external influences. So you have a wet summer and people use less water, so you bring in less revenue, and reminding council that they also changed the level of where the excess water charges kick in, so that affects it as well. So it's going to take a bit of work to look at that.
And also, can I just add that when you use less water, you're saving on the infrastructure delivery costs. So there's another side of the ledger to take into account.
And then the only other question I had was one that I've asked before, but it's around the IT around water, particularly around the backflow register. And again, we've missed the target. I think it was going to be May last time, and now it's the end of May. I'm just increasingly concerned around the IT associated with this. Is there some assurance we can get about what's happening in that space? Like, do we need like a separate briefing on what's happening with IT?
Gavin might have something to add in.
Yeah, there's been a delay on that project. Just with the detailed testing of the work they've done, there's some operational issues that came up. So it was not a fault of IT. It's just something that happened in the project. So it's pushed out to May, but they are on track to have that register up and running end of May.
I presume we're going to have another meeting with Te Mata Awaroi. Is that being rescheduled? Because, some of us are really keen to look at what we can do to get chlorine out in the exemption. And given that it's related to our targets, it would be good to know.
My understanding, and Gavin, correct me if I'm wrong, was they were rescheduling. They just couldn't get here because of flights.
Correct, yes.
Yep.
It'll be rescheduled.
Do we
Don't
have
have a date yet, but won't be too far away.
Okay, so looks like we're all good. So Jake looks like he's had to move this, and Mark's here to second it. All in favour? Against? That's carried. Thank you very much, Peter.
Thank you.
Russell, do you want to come on up for item